Hi everyone. It's Wednesday after the 24th Sunday after Pentecost, and it's time for another Wednesday Word. Today, I want us to think a little bit about some of the things that we can use to keep us anchored in a time when things seem so out of control or beyond what's normal. As I mentioned last week, COVID-19 is again throwing us into a little bit of confusion as things change around us. I'm preparing for another Sunday service here at the church where there will not be anyone in attendance. I'm looking out the sanctuary windows here on a day in mid-November where the temperature is expected to make it up around 70 degrees. There's been so much about this year that has been so decidedly not normal. And yet, within the changes and chances of life that we've experienced in 2020, there are some things that can keep us grounded. There are some things we can do that can help us to stay connected to our center, so that even as things shift and move around us, we can continue to be who we are. Particularly, we can continue to be who we are as people rooted and grounded in Jesus Christ. Some of those practices are devotional practices. In our monthly newsletter, we've been including the daily texts that coordinate with our Sunday readings, which means that if you're looking for something to ground you each day, you can look at those texts and each day find a reading from the Psalms, a reading from the Old Testament, and a reading from the New Testament. All passages that are in some way connected either with the previous Sunday's readings or with the following Sunday's readings, depending on which day you're talking about. Being rooted in Scripture is one of those anchor points for this time. Another anchor point is continuing to be involved in worship, and I know that this is one of those things that's changing. It is unusual to have a Sunday morning where we gather in worship, but we don't gather here in the church building. And yet worship is still happening. There will still be an opportunity for you to gather, whether it's at that 10 o'clock hour on Sunday morning or at some other point during the week when you have the opportunity to view and participate in our worship service. As we have throughout the year, we're going to offer you the full text of the service online for you to be able to follow along. You can sing along in your homes, pray along with the prayers, and if you want to, you can view parts of the service multiple times if you find that they're really meaningful to you. It's been challenging doing worship online, but one of the blessings is that we're able to access it and use those parts of worship in ways that we aren't able to when the only time we can engage in it is in that 1 hour on Sunday morning when it's done live. So think about the ways that the resources we're releasing from the church can continue to feed you, not just on Sunday mornings, but throughout the week as you ponder the prayers and the readings and hopefully a sermon that is compelling and connects with your day-to-day existence. We're also getting ready for the season of Advent, and there are all kinds of resources available online that can help you to dig into that season of hope and expectation that begins on Thanksgiving Day next week as our readings lead us up toward the first Sunday in Advent. Some of the anchor points are these celebrations and observances within the liturgical year. Even when everything around us seems like it's shifting and changing, we have this calendar that persists year after year. As this liturgical year draws to its close, we begin a new one in Advent, that time of hope and expectation and waiting with joy for the revealing of Christ again as a vulnerable child at Christmas. So the reading of Scripture, engaging in prayer and worship, attending to the times and seasons that remind us of who Jesus is for us and what life with him is supposed to be like. The last anchor I want to point you to is community. Because yes, while we cannot gather together in the ways that we wish to, at least for now, we continue to be part of this community of faithful people. And the people that you enjoy sitting side by side with in the pews on Sundays or sharing a cup of coffee with, these same people are just a phone call or an email or a text or a message away. We can continue to be rooted in the relationships that have formed us over months and years, and for some of us, decades. And in doing that, we can continue to stay connected to this community of faith that I know is so important to all of you as it is to me. So let's do that work of staying grounded in Scripture, being rooted in our relationships, of paying attention to the times and the seasons, and of being diligent in continuing to gather in prayer and praise, even if the way we do that for now has to look a little bit different. I have been in prayer for each and every one of you all year as we navigate this most unusual of times. And I continue to invite your prayers for me as I figure out what it looks like to be a pastor in this time when it is so easy for us to feel disconnected. But if we endeavor to be in prayer together, you for me and me for you, I know that with Christ's help, we can get through this challenging time. We can continue to celebrate God's love and Christ's grace and the Spirit's power at work among us in the world. And we will reach that day when we can gather together again, when we can sing the praises of our good and gracious God. Until that day comes, know that you are on my mind and in my heart, and that the love of Christ is between us and with us all. I wish you all peace and good this week and in the days to come, and I'll look forward to seeing you next Wednesday as we have a brief prayer service to celebrate the Day of Thanksgiving coming up on November 26th. Take care, everybody. We'll see you again soon.